Okay, so our test will have the logic stuff on it. So we'll have logic like 3 point, I think it's 3.2 and 3.3. Some of the, we're going to go over that today. So logic's going to be on there. That's chapter 3, 3.3, 3.4. Then we're going to look at mean, median, mode, and range. And mid-range. And calculating the standard deviation. So that's what we're going to, and then don't forget the last stuff we covered about the normal curve is on here from 13.6. We covered that last time. So that's what's going to be on our test 4 on Monday. Okay. Do that. Okay. Well, let's look on. I'm just going to work out the even problems out of the textbook, and that's what you can use as a test review. Just work out the problems out of the text, the odd ones, I suppose, because the problem sets aren't going to be much good, apparently. So I'll have to fix up those problem sets for you. But so let's look over on 3.3. I jump over to 3.3 because it uses all those truth tables that we've had so far. It uses all of them. So if y'all got your little reference sheet, has all the little truth tables at the top of it. I've got one of those. Right? You go in there, sure. You need one of those dudes. So make sure you got your little truth tables to work with, and we'll look. I guess we'll just go through and just do the even odd problems. What Taylor? You said you had questions with these, right? You have any issues with them? Is it just completely and utterly don't know? Okay. I just want to know where we should kind of start at, and I don't think you're alone. So I'm just going to start on number 8. It's on page 124.
Is there a test number?
The test will be, so here's how the test will look like. So if you look at number 8, it says you want to construct a truth table for not P and not and, but if then not Q. You want to construct a truth table for that. Now on our test, it'll probably be A, B, C, D, multiple choice for this, because it's a small one, and you go ahead and do the work, and then you pick the right answer. So that way I don't have to go through and look at everyone's T's and F's, and it just makes it a little bit easier to grade. So, but now you see a question like over on number 18, how there's 3 letters there. That's a little bit more of an in-depth test. I'm going to make you do one of those by hand. So there'll be one of those just fill in blank. There'll be multiple choice. There'll be multiple choice up here. So you start off with P and a Q, and you start off with just the possibilities for P and Q. Does that part make sense, Taylor, about how we start? These mean negations. A negation changes true. Anything that's true, change it to false. That's what a negation does. Okay, but every one of these is going to start off with true, true, false, false, and true, false, true, false. Yeah, the negations are going to change anything, true to false or false to true. That's what a negation does. It flips it. So here's what we're going to do. I write in what they give me here, and then I rewrite the columns by what they are. So P was true, true, false, false, but not P. The negated P would be false, false, true, true. Right? It flips them. That's what the negation does. So we're going to do the same thing for the Q over here. It'd be false, then true, false, then true. So that's the first thing you want to try to do. Then I'm going to use my truth table for this guy. So you look on your little truth table on that piece of paper. You find the one arrow, the one-way arrow, and there should be something that sticks out to you, whether two truths make a true or two falses make a false. What's the thing that sticks out to you in this truth table? Two falses make a true. Okay. What happens on a false and a true? It's also true. What happens with a true and a false?
False.
Okay. And the true and the true? True. And that's all you can do. So that's your answer column. Let's try number 10 here. They want you to do this. See, there's a P and a Q. I'm going to go ahead and write it out. Not P, biconditional Q. So just P and a Q. Same old true, true, false, false. True, false, true, false. And the reason why we're doing this is all the possible outcomes for P and Q. Let me write out our... No, the parentheses kind of just tell you that you figure out your answer column inside the parentheses first, and then you do whatever's outside the parentheses. That's kind of what a parentheses are for. So I'm going to start off with P, but it says not P, right? So I'm going to rewrite my not P column. False, false, true, true. And I'll just rewrite the Q column. True, false, true, false. But this time we're going to be using the biconditional. So you go on your little paper there, and you look at the biconditional, and you just check out what happens when it's false and true on that table. So how would we fill out this answer column here under the biconditional? So if you look at your paper on the biconditional answer or truth table, right, has the two side arrows at the very top of that paper. False and true gives you a false. You see that, Tanner? You see this? This is the one we're looking at right here, right? So you found that truth table, right? Oh, you don't want that one there, Brianna. You don't want that one. That's 150. You don't want to take that text through. We're just going over things out of the textbook. Okay. So if you look at that truth table, what's it? I know it says true, true, false, false, and then true, false, true, false, right? Okay. Now what's the other one say here? What's that answer column say? True, false, false, true. So what that means is, if you see two trues under one of these biconditionals, you call it true. If you see a true and a false under a biconditional, you call it false. If it's false and then true, then you call it false. And if it's two falses, you call it true. So we're going to use this guy right here to answer to get our answer column. So check it out. We got a false and we got a true. So what's that tell us? False, then true. It's false. Okay, that'll help. Okay, so two falses make a what then? A true. And then two trues make a true. And a true and a false makes a false over here, doesn't it? Now, if that was it, like you didn't have any parentheses, then you could stop and that'd be your answer. But you're negating it, so you're going to take this answer column right here now. Sometimes I like to just kind of squiggle these out, so I don't get caught up in all my T's and F's. So we're going to negate that whole answer column here, so that becomes true, false, false, true. And that's the last thing we did, so that's my answer column. Okay? So as long as you're looking at the right stuff, you'll be alright. So let's look at number 12. Look at number 12 here. This is on page 124. So number 12 says parentheses, biconditional PQ. And then a conditional on P. So we start off with P and Q because it's the only two letters we got. True, true, false, false. True, false, true, false. And then we write in our statement. And you're not really negating P and Q, right? So you could write those columns down just like you saw them just a second ago. But basically, isn't that the same thing as your this right here? It's you have the answer to this, and it's on your paper. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So I'll keep on doing it like we've been doing, right? I just write down the P, write down the Q. P is true, true, false, false. I don't have to worry about negating it this time. There's no little tildes in front of it. Q is true, false, true, false. Okay, I'm just writing them down as they are. Now we're going to compare them with this biconditional. So you go to your biconditional chart, and you compare them. What happens when there's true and a true? It's true. And then when it's true and false, it's false. False and true, it's false. And false and false, it's true. So I'm going to squiggle these out a little bit because I don't want to see a whole bunch of stuff here. And then I'm going to rewrite my P column. It's true, true, false, false. Now I'm going to compare that with my one-way arrow. So what happens on the one-way arrow with a true and a true? It's true. And then a false and a true. False and a false. And a true and a false. Okay. So I've used up these, and that's the only thing left. That's my answer column. Yeah, I use the same. If it just says a plain old P there, I use that same column. And just a plain old Q here, right? So I just use that plain old Q column. That's not so bad, right? No, it's awful. No. Seriously, it's pretty bad. Some of them are. Oh no, don't do that. Not Q and P. One-way conditional. or a conditional, I guess I should say. Not Q. So still just have P and Q here. So P, Q, true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. Rewrite my statement out here. Tyler, what do you think? Where do you think you'd start off on this one? Okay. That's the first thing, right? You gotta finish writing it out. I'm sorry. Well, here's one thing that you need to be able to just, this first part with the P and the Q, you just need to be able to, that needs to flow. I mean, you just got to know that part. It helps out a lot if you just, this is not going to change with 2 letters. It's always true, true, false, false, and then true, false, true, false. It's half and half, and then every other one. Okay? So there's no thinking on my part for that part of the question. It just is what it is.
What I don't get is the little negation thing.
Okay?
I'm not even know how to explain it too. I guess we put the true and false and the on the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
But do we change it?
On the Q, you're going to change it, but on the P, you wouldn't.
Okay, that's what I didn't know. I didn't know if we changed it or not.
Just for the Q. Okay? So you're going to take your Q and you're going to change it so it becomes false, and then true, false, and then true. But now the P wouldn't change. It's going to stay the same. True, true, false, false. Now remember what I said. You got to do what's inside the parentheses first, right?
Yeah.
So
Why
we're
do we change the key?
got that negation on it. So now you're going to use, do you see on the top, we've been dealing with these arrows, but there's actually another little truth table on top of your paper there with a little TP on it.
Yeah.
We're going to use that truth table now.
So we do that for me?
Yep, we're going to compare these 2 guys here, like false and true, with this truth table. So what happens with false and true on that? It's false. Okay. What about the next one? Whoa, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Okay. You said one more than I thought you was going to say. I ran out of truths and falses.
Okay.
It's okay. So false and if you look at false and true, it says false, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if it says true and true,
It's true.
okay, false and a false.
The what?
The false and the false is false.
I told you it's false.
Okay.
She just kind of stopped.
I was-
and said it, and you.
It's okay. That's why I was off by one. So that's why I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay.
I thought about it.
No, you're good. You're doing good. And then true and a false? A false. Okay. No, don't. It's got a 50-50 shot, right? But you see where those letters are coming from, though? That's the main thing. Okay, and then you can practice it up after here in a little bit. So now I used up this one, so I'm going to kind of mark it off, and I used up that one. So this is where I'm stuck at right now, and that would have been my answer column. But you got this little arrow, so we need to have another column and compare this column with this other one.
Do we write these?
We're going to take Q and we're going to negate it. So we're going to take Q and we're going to negate that column.
Do you pretty much the first time?
Like you did a second ago. So it'll be false, true, false, true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to use the arrow truth table you got on the top of that paper. We're going to compare with a false and a false. What's that say on that little truth table with 2 falses? It says a true. Okay. And what about true and true? Okay. False and false.
True.
True. False and true. Oh, make sure you go back through and check this out again. False and false. Be the bottom line, right? Okay. True and true. It's the top one. False and false. False and false. True. Okay. False and then true. Okay.
Okay. I thought I was wrong again.
Everybody else agree with that? Okay. Now here's the thing. It doesn't really ask it on this question, but we're done now. Okay. This is our answer column. Now you see how they're all trues? It's called tautology. Tautology. So on page 123, there's some definitions here on page 123. And if you get all trues, then we call that a tautology. Call it a tautology if it's all trues. And not only is it a tautology, but if you look on page 124 at the very top of the page, it says that an implication is a conditional statement that is a tautology. So these arrows are called conditionals. This one-way arrow is called a conditional. So not only is it a tautology, but it's also an implication. More precisely, it's called an implication. There's some questions that actually ask you that here in a little bit, which one they are. You need to know that, yeah. So there might be a question here that says, is this a tautology, an implication? Right? If it's all false, it's called self-contradiction. 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 Page 123. So page 123 has those definitions on them. And a few examples there too. Okay, so let's do one that has, well, I guess we can do 16 here. Right? Might as well.
So for practice, we do the odds.
I'll do the odd ones for practice. And that way you'll have the answers in the back of the book. So just got two letters, right? P and Q. And we'll start off like I normally do. True, true, false, false. True, false. True, false. And then write this statement on top. Tell you don't care if I'm asking you a bunch of questions, do you? I just want to make sure you're getting it. Is that okay? I know you don't care too much about that, so I'm not gonna. You're not too shy, are you? I didn't think so. It's okay. It's okay. So what do you think you'd do to start off on this? Okay. So what
They
key?
stay the same, right?
They stay the same this time because there's no negations. True, true, false, false. True, false. True, false.
Do it on the other side.
I would just do it one at a time. That's what I would try because there'd be too many T's and F's and stuff. We'll do what's in this parentheses first, and then we'll do what's inside this parentheses second. So this time we're using the upside down, the V, right? So what happens with two trues on that V? It's true. And a true and a false? Okay. And a false and a true. And two falses? False. So I'm just going to take a little squiggle here and squiggle that one. And that's what I'm left with so far, right? So there's the little answer column to that dude. We're going to do the same thing over here at the end.
But we use the same true false.
True, true, false, false. Yep, same P and same Q that we started with over there. True, false. True, false. So tell me what happens there with the and. Okay, so we've used up that one. We used up this one. And we've got this guy here. So we're going to take the answer from the left and the answer from the right and hook them up with that double arrow chart. So on that double arrow, what happens on with a true and a true? Okay. And then true and a false. True and a false. False and a false.
So we have those little formula sheets.
The little formula, that's that reference sheet that you've been using the whole time, and those are on the top of them. That's it. That's the answer, so we're going to circle it. It's not too bad, right? Okay. That's what I'm going for. Don't just blindly pick C. I'm gonna change them all to A's then.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah, I would have said that in another class. I was like, oh well, I'm not going to put C's anymore. I had a chemistry class, and what they did was it was usually a 20-question test, and he said that the answers are all, there would be 5 A's, 5 B's, 5 C's, and 5 D's. So you don't just pick C's, basically what he was saying to do. They're evenly distributed throughout the whole thing. So there's the same amount of A's and B's and C's and D's. There's the same amount. So what I would do at the end of the test, I'd count them, and I'd always be off, and then I'd start changing answers because I knew, and it just made me do worse. And then towards the end, I just said, screw it, I'm just going to get a couple wrong and not.
I would lie and
Oh, that's not good. I'm like I didn't hear that.
I think I did.
Oh, they're so much fun.
If I fail, I'll probably
Oh, Lordy.
I had you with support. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's too hard.
No way. Now, don't freak out. That makes it worse. Now, the way this one's going to be different because you got 3 letters, P, Q, and R, or Q, P, and R. So see how the it's just in there. Right? Yeah. So it just gets tougher and tougher. I'm gonna put them in that order, though. Okay. Q, P, and R in that order. You remember how there used to be 4 lines? Okay. There's 8. Nuh-uh. But you remember that it's half and half in the first column. So half of them are trues, half of them are falses.
So in our book,
Uh-huh.
does it tell us to put the trues and the false, or are we just listening?
It wouldn't. This first part here, it wouldn't tell you that. You have to know. You have to know that. Well, just like up here at the beginning, it's half. The first column is always half and half. Okay. 3. Let me tell you this way.
For everyone.
For if you have 2 letters, it's going to look like this up here at number 16. Always. Just P and Q, R and S. If it's just 2 letters. If it's 3 letters, it's always going to look like this. And here's the trick to memorize this. If it's 3 letters, it's 2 times 2 times 2. I get 2 because true and false. There's only 2 ways that they can be. And 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So that's how I know there's 8 rows. Okay? But you're not going to have any more than 3. It's just going to be 2 letters or 3 letters. Okay? And you split the first one. True. You write 8 of them, you split them. Then you split them again. True, true, false, false. You see what I did there? I did half trues and half falses. And then on these trues, I split those. Okay? So it's true, true, false, false. True, true, false, false. Well, I mean, it sort of is, but sort of not. Yeah, they kind of go over this in the 3.1. But this part is not. All they do is give you, just like what's written up here, number 18, just this right here. That's all it's given in the textbook for this question. So you got those written down so far? Okay, I'll let you write those down. That way you can cut it. Half and half, right? So you got those two columns there, right? Okay. Okay. Now, I took the t's and I split them. True, false, true, false. Now I take these t's and I split those. True, false. Take those f's and split them. True, false. True, false. True, false. So do you see the little pattern? That's the pattern. This right here will never change for 3 letters. It's always that right there. This is all the outcomes for 3. If Q is true, and P is true, and R is true, that's one outcome. When Q is true, P is true, and R is false, that's another outcome that could happen in the argument. These are all the outcomes of this argument. We're going to work it the same way, we just have bigger truth tables. This is the one you have to work out by hand. The other ones will be multiple choice, but this one you work out by hand, because this is just the one I work out. So there's no negation on Q, right? So we just write Q down. True, 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 false, 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 false. So you just write it out. Let's see. Inside the parentheses here, P stays the same. It's true and a true, false and a false, true and a true, false and a false. But R gets negated. Yep, flip all the R's there. So false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true. So what we're going to do the stuff inside the parentheses first, and we're going to compare it with the one-way arrow, the conditional arrow. So help me out. What's true and a false? Okay. And true and a true? False and a false. False and a true. True and a false. True and a true. False and a false. False and true. Does everybody else agree with that? Jason, which one do you not agree with there? Which row?
A false and a false is true. A false and a true should be true.
Okay, so tell me which row you're looking at.
Number 4.
1, 2, 3. So row 4. False,
Oh, yeah.
true. Okay. And any other ones?
Can you move your hand a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
False and a false should be true, which is the next to last row.
This guy right here?
Yep.
Okay.
That should be true, and the last one should be true.
How did you guys do that? I'm very wrong for these people, though.
Was you using the double arrow one?
No, I was over there.
Oh, you look at the completely wrong table. That'll throw it off. Gotta make sure you.
I'm done.
No, you don't. No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. So we figured. Well, we got it fixed now, right? Okay. So here's what I usually do, Taylor. If I look at what this little arrow is, right, and I make sure that I look at the table. It has a little arrow on it. Okay. Now, tell me how that table looks. Let me write it out real quick here. Okay, now tell me what's the answer here. The answer column underneath that. True, false, true, true. Right? Okay. You see how there's just one little false and the rest of them are trues? There's just one guy here that makes false. It's true, false. That's the one guy here that stands out. So what I would do is I just go through here and seek out. I try to find a true and a false first and put a false with it, and then just write the rest of them trues. I don't even look at them. I just try to find the TF in here. So see how the first one's a TF? I put an F there. Nope. nope, nope. There's one. Put a false there. Nope, nope, nope. And the rest of them get trues. So that way I'm not looking back and forth. And it's real easy to look back and forth and just not line up right and make a mistake real easy. Okay? So that's what I try to do. If you look on the biconditional one, what's P and Q here? True, 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 false, false. What's the answer for the biconditional here? The double arrows. Well, what gives you trues here in those? So if they're the same, it's true, right? So if it was me, like up here on number 16, see how the biconditional? If I look for the same letter, I put a T. 2 trues make it true, 2 falses make it true. The rest of them get Fs. So that's kind of how I work on these. And it makes it a little bit easier as we go through. Does that make sense to do it like that? Okay. So anyways, did we get our answer column here? So I'm going to scratch out these because we've got them already. So now we got to compare this guy with this guy over here, but we're going to use the OR table, the V table. So make sure you get the right table here. Taylor doesn't want to do it anymore. She's burnt out. Somebody else tell me what do we get here for this column? Jason, what did you get there?
Say true.
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 False.
False.
True.
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 True. Everybody else get that?
That's what they were asking.
Shirley, did you get that? Okay. Did you get that one there, Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, that's why you're going to have to go back and do the odd ones, right? Because you'll have to sit down and just do them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm just going to ask you to do one of those with the 3 letters on them. So let's do one more of those. Let's try one more of these dudes. Which one looks I'm not going to do all those even ones there. So which one do you think would be the best one to try to do out of those 17 through 24? Which one do you want to try to look at? Y'all have the textbook on page 124? No, you don't. Okay. Which one of those do you think looks the toughest? 22? You want to take a look at 22 then? Okay, I'll let you copy that down. Why don't you go ahead and work on it? I'll work on it kind of quietly. And we'll see if we can get the same answer. I'll let you copy it down. I'm just going to write my truth table down.
Do we put the letters out in order like R?
Yeah, if it's in the order of however this order is, that's how you put them. Okay, let me make sure in the back of the book and make sure that's how they do it. But I think that's the way they did them, at least on the homework sets. Let me make sure that. What is this?
Will it be the same as the other QPR?
Okay, let me backtrack for a second here. Put it. Let me. If you go on the back of the book, you're gonna be rudely awakened here. Which one are we doing? 20, 22. Okay. Keep on doing it. Do it in the order that's given. Okay, we'll keep on doing it. Keep on doing it the way the order is given. So 22. Okay.
So what will we order, like, as if we did it the other way? Because
I'm going to
four
give.
truths and the 4 falses.
Do what now?
Because at the one above it, it was QPR.
Uh huh.
And
3
it was
letters.
4 truths and 4 falses. So it's whatever they'll be in that order. Doesn't matter what letters at the top.
Doesn't matter what letters.
Okay.
And if they give me here's the way I've always done it. If they give me the letters in this order first, of R, then Q, then P, then that's the way I'm going to write the letters here. Okay? But we're going to look in the back of the book here in a second. We're going to check our work. It's going to be wrong. Well, this is a good one, isn't it? One true makes a true. One false makes a false. True, true, false. You can still read that, can't you? No. It's always a sound of confidence. Right? One day. So is that what you guys got? What do you think, Jonathan? Is that what you got? Okay.
Yes, the book probably says PQ law. That's why they crank it. That's why I stopped looking in the back when we was reading this.
Oh no, you got it right. Yeah, okay, that's right. My bad. It's good.
None of some of them they put them like alphabetical order, so it's PQR.
Now 22 is it's false, true, 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 false, true, false. Okay, so what do we get on number 18? I don't think we got 18 right. True, true, false, true, 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 true. True, true, false. I didn't get number 18 right. Where's the false at?
Like row number 5.
So this says row number 2. You're 16, true, false, false, true. Yeah, that's right. Number 18 in the back of the book, number 8 on my back of the book, it has the evens in it. There should be a false in the third row instead of the. So it doesn't make much sense now because we've done it exactly. We did it the same way on number 22 and got it right. It's harder crap to go back and check your work on these. You just have to redo the whole thing. Check. I want to tell you guys. Check number 18 on your. Go back and check it. I'll tell you what's in the back of the book. The back of the book has. On number 18, it says true, true, false, true, 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 true. That's what the back of the book has. Okay.
So the false is supposed to be true.
That's the way it says in the back of the book. So either we screwed up somewhere. We can redo it if you want. See, I don't. It just says the truth. It just says the. I get.
On the problem set one.
It's all screwed up, right?
I had one where it wasn't in the same order, and I did the problem probably like 13 times because I knew I was right.
In a different way. Yeah, don't worry about those problem sets. That's not. They're all screwed up, so don't worry about them. You're going to get full credit for them. Everyone gets full credit for them. Okay, go in there and try them out. But on the homeworks here, though. Yeah, they.
The problem way we did it checks out right.
Okay. Well, let's make sure that we can. Let's see. Here's what you need to do to be able to do though. If you look at a question like number 18, you check this out. This is not a self-contradiction. It's not a tautology. It's not an implication. It's nothing. It's neither of any of those. Okay. If you look at let me see. I think number 20 is supposed to be all truths. Okay, number 20. What would be the last thing you do in number 20? Oh, you don't have this. My bad. Number 20 here. What would be the last thing you would do in number 20? It's the arrow, right? Okay. Because you do what's inside the parentheses on 20. The P and the R, the Q and the Q or R. You do those first. You take those answer columns and compare them with the arrow, right? Now, on number 20, the answer to number 20 is all truths. So I'll take the answer number 20 is all truths. You can go back and work through that if you want to. So what do you describe number 20 as? A self-contradiction, a tautology, or an implication? It's a tautology But more precisely, it's an implication because it's on that arrow. If you look
So would you put both, or would you?
You would just say
it's an implication?
you say it's an implication, and that kind of takes care of it. Okay. If you look at number 18, suppose number 18 was all true. The last thing you would do here would be this guy right here, right? So all truths on this would be just a tautology, because it's not on those arrows. So let's say number 24 was all falses. All right. But let's say it wasn't all falses. What would we call it? Self-contradiction. It was all falses.
Self-contradiction.
Self-contradiction. Okay. So here's some of these answers to 31 through 42 here. At least the even ones, if you want to work out the even ones there. $33 winds up being a self-contradiction if you want to do a self-contradiction somewhere. 35 is a tautology. 38 winds up being an implication. 40 is not one, and 41 is. So if you want to try to look at them, work on those, you can. So, did you have any issues on doing questions like number 43 here on page 125, where it gives you just one row here, and it just tells you P is true, Q is false, R is true. Find the truth value of the statement. So you don't do a whole truth table for this, right? You just do it with one row. So let's try one. Let's try one or two. Let's try number 44. So number 44, I'll write it down here on my paper here for you. Number 44, it says that you've got P or not Q, conditional not R, and it tells you at the beginning, P is true. It says Q is false, and R is true. It tells you that at the beginning. So you just work through it like one row. It's like one row out of a truth table. That's all you're going to do. So you just act, you talk about P and not Q. So you change your Q over to what? Since it's negated. Change it to a true because it was false. What is P supposed to be? It's supposed to be true. Now we compare that with the AND. So you look on your AND table. Two truths make a true, don't they? Okay, so you got a true statement out of the parentheses, and you're going to compare that to not R. What is R to begin with? It's true, but we're going to negate it, right? So it's false. So you're going to be comparing true, false off of this conditional table, off the one-way arrow table. So what happens? This right here, this part, how do I know that part right there? It's going to be given to you in the directions. Okay, it's given to you in the directions. This is on page 125. So on page 125, 43 through 52, it's different. It's different one of these scenarios, but this right here is always the same every time. Okay. So what would happen on this conditional with the true false statement? False. So we're just looking off of our tables there. So the overall statement is false in this case. That's it. So you're just looking at one. Basically, it's one row out of that whole truth table that we just did. So you could do those truth tables row by row if you wanted to. Take forever. I think it would take forever. But you could do them row by row. And then you want to look at equivalent statements. Can you figure out if statements are equivalent? So basic equivalencies. So on page 136, you want to look at, like this is on number 19. Oh, let's don't do the even one. So 19 through 28 would be what we're talking about. It says use a truth table to determine whether two statements are equivalent. So number 20, it's an even one. It tells you not parentheses P then Q. Not G, Q. Then there's a comma, and then it has P and not Q. Now remember how this works. You're comparing these two separate statements. That's what you're doing. So there's a comma that separates them. You're comparing the two. So we're going to do two truth tables real quick here. Okay, so I write out this. P then Q. What's your P then Q table say on your paper there? You're basically just going to copy that down off your table. What does that table say? P then Q. So what's your little paper say for P then Q? Okay. Now we're going to negate that, right? False, true, false, false. There's our answer for that one. Let me come over here and do the other one. So we negate our Q. And we compare that with P. And says that if you get one false, it's false. So check out your two answers. Are they equivalent to each other? They're the same, right? They're equivalent. So if these two guys are the same, you say equivalent. Why doesn't this pen just spell correctly for me? So if they're the same, you say equivalent. If they're not the same, you say they're not equivalent. Imagine that. So if you can do the questions out of 3.3, then you can do everything from 3.1 to up to 3.3, basically. And then the equivalent statements out of 3.4. We looked at that. I'm done with the logic stuff.
Mid-range?
Mid-range? So mid-range... No, that's fine. That's over on 13.4. So the question was, what about mid-range, right? Okay, mid-range, you take your data set, you take the lowest value, the lowest number, and you subtract it from the highest number. And then you divide it by 2. Range So it's mid-range because it's in the middle. So it's like you're taking your half. It's like that's what mid-range is. Range is just your highest minus the lowest. The highest. This range is over on page. The definition of that. Let me step back for a second. The definition of mid-range is on page 798. Some examples for it. The definition of range is on page 808. And it's just the highest number minus the lowest number. I'm sorry. I told you wrong. It's plus. Mid-range is plus. My God, I about screwed the pooch there. It's plus. So let me reiterate that. Mid-range is the lowest plus the highest divided by 2. Yeah. Mid-range, you can kind of think about the mid-range. You average the highest and lowest numbers. It's the average of the high and low. It's a high-low average. So make sure you can find those, and remember the other ones: the mean, the median, the mode. There are those three right there. How to do those, and then make sure you can find this. You can use your calculator to do this. We did this once in class with our calculators. You can use your calculator. It's super ridiculous to do that by hand. And if you don't watch out, it's not too bad in your calculator.
I just can't remember all the steps.
Well, you got that TI-83, right? TI-84, right? If you do a TI-84, the book has
You gave me
the book tells you how to do it. It says right here on page 812. It has directions for finding that with your calculator towards the middle of the page there. And if you don't know how to use your calculator to do it, just go to Google and type in your calculator version, and just type in finding standard deviation. Cher, I think you've got a graphing calculator too, don't you? So it's in the textbook. And then Daniel, you got one. You got a graphing calculator. Zach, you got a graphing calculator? But you figured out how to do that the other day without me even showing you, so you're good. So make sure you can do those, and then the normal curve stuff. The normal curve stuff we talked about last time. That's test 4. Then after test 4, we'll have a Wednesday. We'll have 3 classes after that. There's a Wednesday and then 2 more, and then the final. And we're going to talk about 13.1, 13.2, and then we'll have a final review. Then we'll be done with the class. let's focus on the positive. No, let's focus on the positive. Focus on the positive, kids.
I'll be bringing my baby.
Oh, that's good.